It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. It's 1 a.m. in Denmark. And it's 7 p.m. in New York City. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dog Scipio, joined as I am each and every week on What's the Buzz Podcast, America's Podcast by Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm absolutely fabulous. What you been up to today, kid?
Just working hard, and then I
First
guess
time I've seen you all day.
I know they've been mowing the yard and at work, and then they've been busy, 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 and I think I caught some kind of cold or
They had you
something.
mowing the yard at work. Wait, what was
No, they were mowing the yard at work, and I think with the doors opening, I think I caught a cold or some kind of hay fever or something.
Oh, I got you.
Hmm.
Gotcha. We
Hmm.
have an amazing guest tonight. He is a returning guest.
Yes,
His name is Angelo Capone.
yes. Welcome
Hello,
back.
guys. How you doing,
You'll
guys?
understand why he's here in a moment, folks. We are going to discuss the movie magic of Jerry Lewis. And Angelo Capone is one of America's premier Jerry Lewis tribute artists. Angelo, let's get this straight right from the get go. Are you a tribute artist or an impersonator?
I'm neither one.
Okay.
I am a person who channels into the character of Jerry Lewis.
Hmm.
There you go. That's
Interesting.
different.
Hmm.
Let me
Because
tell everybody a little bit about you. Angelo
ahead.
Capone is a skilled and talented drummer who has played alongside some of America's best and brightest musicians, including those in his own band. He also bears a striking resemblance to the world's greatest funny man, Jerry Lewis. With his spot on vocals and comedic timing, Angelo has become the most sought after tribute artist in America. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the show for a second time his second solo appearance, Mr. Angelo Capone. Welcome. Nice to have
Welcome.
you back.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You know what? That deserves this, Angie.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
I just love him.
There
I
you
don't know
go.
what to do when I hear that. I just,
So, what have you been up to since last we spoke? It's been a couple of minutes, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I was out there with uh some deans. I did two deans, and I happened to get back with my original dean, Robert Cabela.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a lot of things that on the table that we feel that we need to do
Mm-hmm.
because we can't let go of this Dean Martin Jerry Lewis tribute. We can't.
I got news for you, brother. You are. I have saw you in person. I saw you perform, and that was frighteningly good. That was scary good.
Well, that's nice.
You know,
I love that word, frightened. That's good.
and here's the thing that people don't understand. Angelo Capone has Jerry Lewis's voice. He's got Jerry's speaking voice, which is scary. Then when he puts the wig on, he becomes like, every kelp under the sun.
And you said kelp, and see that's my gimmick. I use everybody is a kelp.
Yeah.
See, like when he did the valet with Dean in
Yeah.
the nightclubs, it was Melvin, but I made it Melvin Kelp.
Kelp.
So I make it a family of kelps, and that's my gimmick. Because
I
the
love
nutty
that.
is the nutty professor.
Yeah.
Julius Kelp is the king of the family. So what would be better than put everybody under his name and make it a family? Nephews, Stanley's a nephew, and
Yeah.
I'll switch it up all the time. I say to myself, I wonder if people get when I say Stanley one time is a cousin, then Stanley the next time is his son. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter because all they want to see is Stanley Kelp, Melvin.
Yeah,
Kelp.
they're all kelps. It doesn't matter. Absolutely.
You know,
Here's the thing, you mentioned an important aspect of Jerry,
right.
which is the Nutty Professor. It's the only film, and you would think there would be more, Ange, but it's the only Jerry Lewis film he ever did that is recognized and protected by the United States Library of Congress.
Yeah, you're right.
What is it about that film? That one piece of an hour and a half of film
I'll tell you what I think it is, because it changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I was a kid. From 9 to say 14.
Mm-hmm.
That character impressed me because Jerry was the little boy.
Yeah.
Jerry became a man with Julius Kelp.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. And I
He,
think about it, but you're kind of like
yeah,
right about
he,
it.
he wasn't the mixed up kid or getting in trouble. His troubles was now he's a man, and he didn't take himself serious because he needed the more. But when he was a kid with Dean and played the little boy,
Yeah.
he was who he was and always was serious and was like, just accept me. The nutty, he couldn't even accept himself. That's why he became the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and made a formula to be
Yeah.
somebody he wasn't.
He
So
became Buddy Love. Yeah.
he became Buddy Love. And
Yeah.
I think what amazed, halfway through that movie, there's no Buddy Love. And then when he became Buddy Love,
Mm-hmm.
you had to say, who's this guy, Jerry Lewis? He never did this before.
Exactly. Exactly. You're
So
right.
that changed his whole image. And to me, it showed that he was, believe it or not, a professional actor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He went from the coolest guy, nastiest guy,
Mm-hmm.
to the humblest man who needed help.
Exactly.
That to me, as a 9-year-old, I'm
Yeah.
seeing the Nutty Professor at 9 years old. He always played a 9-year-old kid. There
Yeah.
I'm watching this guy like, wow. First of all, the teeth and glasses blew me away
Oh, yeah, sure.
because he changed his image from that young little boy. Now he's like, who is this guy? But you didn't say who's this boy, who's this man on this screen?
Yeah.
And it just made, I think it made his followers like he achieved something more.
Can I tell people how dedicated you are to your craft?
Oh,
I want to tell
okay.
people something that may not know. Angelo Capone is so dedicated to his craft. He actually had his dentist make him. You know where I'm going.
Yep.
He had his dentist make him the Nutty Professor teeth,
Yeah, I got 3 of
and
them.
they look just like them.
I got
How
3 of
much did it set? I hate to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you anyway.
Well,
What did it set you back for them teeth?
Here's the best part. The first time I went and really said, I'm doing this the way he did it.
Mm-hmm.
When one of my closest friends was a dentist. He passed away now.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Ange, I'm going to hook you up with my false teeth guy. I said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into the door. It was an older black gentleman, already in his 70s and 80s. Now I'm going back 8 years. So he's, God willing, he's still alive. He's in his 90s.
Mm-hmm.
When I walked in the door, he went, Jack told me you're coming. I love Jerry. He charged me $140.
Oh wow!
$140. So now,
Wow!
so what do you think I said? Make me 2 of them.
2 of them exactly.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, make me a backup set.
Make me a backup. And then I have that too. And then I met another guy in Staten Island, and he called me. He goes, I make false teeth. I said, why are you calling? He goes, you need teeth? I said, yeah. He charged me like 2 and change. And so I got 3 different types, and I change them up because that's what I like. If you realize what Jerry did, people don't even notice. He never had the same teeth in his mouth. He had
I know.
different ones. He
Yeah.
had different ones. So you know what? That's what I do. I throw different ones in there just to change the image. That's all.
It's
That's it.
interesting you mentioned that because the various teeth the prosthetic teeth that he used very often not only changed the character, but changed the way the character spoke because of how they fit in his mouth.
Yeah, and it's so funny. When you hear the Nutty Professor, actually, and it actually brings those teeth bring you there. See, I'm so used to doing it all my life. I don't need the teeth anymore. But when I first put the teeth in, it gave me such a deeper, like, wow. Because you fall into a character. And now you got to develop. Can I give you the story how the Nutty Professor came?
I was going to ask you about that because my understand, and I'm not going to tip the bit,
Okay.
but my understanding is either it occurred at an airport or a train depot.
It was at an airport,
Okay,
1950.
go ahead. Can you take it from there, Ange?
Okay, 1953. He's with Dean on the flight, and he's looking at this guy, very nerdy looking, and the way he was standing when he got up to go to the bathroom or went to get a drink or something, it was hitting him, and he had to go over to him and he talked to him and he heard his voice, and he had like that nerdy voice. That was the birth. That was the birth of the Nutty Professor, but he couldn't do it because it had nothing to do with Dean.
Yeah.
So he couldn't do the little boy character and then all of a sudden do this character because everything he did was on that character.
Not remarkable, man.
So it was 10 years to the day when the movie came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard that. I heard
did-
it was like that he remembered that tone.
Right.
He had the tone in his head.
He had the tone in his head. Exactly.
And my understanding is that what got him is when he heard the guy say the word, well, actually, you know,
Right.
or however
Right.
he said, actually.
Right.
Because I can't do Jerry, because I got news for you. It's a lot harder than people know
Well,
to imitate him.
Well, the trick is, like, really to anything, you gotta paint the picture of him first in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you just attack it, you'll never get it. If you put when I do a show, every moment of any time that I'm on that stage, Jerry's face is in my brain.
No, yeah, sure. I can imagine.
I don't even see the audience. I don't see I don't hear nothing. I don't see nothing. All I got is, if I'm doing the bellboy, I'm Stanley. I see his face. I see his hat on him. I see I just see him. So the Nutty is more of the image. If you put those teeth in your brain, you put those glasses, his hair down like that little moish look.
Yeah.
It will just come that nerd type of dentistry look, especially back in our day. In our day, a dentist was always the older guy, that nerdy looking guy.
Oh,
He wasn't the cool guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
And that's what Jerry came to change. He became the kid who knew how to be, but now he became the nerd that he never was.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I even had to get that. I was always growing up the dresser. I have a split personality. I am a Jerry in act, but I'm really the Dean of everything else. You know, I'm the dresser.
I believe that. I noticed that the night I was up there with you. I noticed that. I really did.
And people say to me, who are you really?
Yeah.
I said, well, the beautiful part is I am who I am.
Yeah.
But I know how to be who I want to be when I want to be somebody.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And
That's it.
People need to understand that when they go to see Angelo Capone perform, first of all, it's you like every great entertainer, and you're a great entertainer.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
You're quite welcome. And I can say that honestly because I saw you perform.
Yeah, you seen me. You interviewed us too.
Like a lot of people, though, who perform, they have a set routine.
Right.
And once in a while, they'll change it up accordingly.
Right.
How much, because you have a great luxury that a lot of people don't. Because you do Jerry, you have the affordability of being able to go off the rail and improvise at will.
Oh, yeah.
How much of that, I can imagine, because I think I know your head a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
And So, which is a scary place to be.
You know, what's funny is when I'm getting ready for a show,
Mhm.
my crew used to tell me, my Sinatra, who Frank Frizzalone and Gino Monroe, who played Sammy, and Rob would say, don't go out in the audience. I said, before the show. So I would have my wig off. Nobody would ever know it's me.
Yeah.
They think I worked there or I was doing,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
would go and scope out the people who
Yeah.
I would think would be my prop.
Exactly.
And then when the bell goes off, no mercy. And
Yeah.
I will grab a person,
Yeah.
whatever, say something
Yeah.
that, and I get, you know, like I tell people, if you're gonna do Jerry, you got to be as Jerry was in the lounge. He was nasty to them. He would yell
Yeah.
at them. He would shake them up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't do Jerry
Yep.
the act. Do Jerry who's doing an act.
Exactly.
Mhm.
There's a difference.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant.
And
And
people,
that's the difference between a tribute artist and an impersonator. That's the difference. You can get away with that.
I can get away with it.
Amelia,
Yeah.
questions for Angelo
Yeah.
Capone.
Yeah. When you were saying that you were, going to the audience, who was, did everybody get out of hand at any time?
Let me just tell you that it's amazing. That's what I was going to follow up with.
Mhm.
My guys used to tell me, Ange, you got to take it easy with these. I said, you don't understand. They're not coming here to take it easy. They're coming here to be part of the show.
Right.
The
right.
very person who doesn't want to be in the show or think they're going to get embarrassed, they become the greatest entertainer for me. You know why?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not scripted. So
If you don't
they're
believe
always
that,
one.
If
They're-
you don't believe that, ask my wife.
Yeah, well,
That was funny.
again, I was just going to say that nobody
Mhm.
knows better than Ange. His wife, I grabbed her. She had no
Yeah.
clue I was going to grab her,
Nope.
but
Mhm.
she don't even understand. I already picked her out. It was like,
Mhm.
this is the one. This
Uh-huh.
is the one.
Mhm.
Now, I do what he's talking about for your audience is that I do Be My Love. When Jerry did Be My Love, he lip synced.
Yes.
He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
pantomimer. That's how I grew up pantomiming, because the story which Ange knows is that I was a dyslexic illiterate and I couldn't read and nothing. So pantomiming was something I could do and hide and didn't have to talk.
Yeah.
So when Jerry pantomimed, and here I am at 9 years old, he was my hero. So I had someone to follow. So
Yeah.
in Be My Love, he pantomimes the song. I
Mhm.
said, this is a little too boring now. So the
Mhm.
first time I did it,
Mhm.
I came out. My crew didn't know. I didn't know. I seen this woman, and I said, she had a 40 bust. She was a little oversized, and I do everything on a stool. And all of a sudden, I
Mhm.
said, tonight I'm going to do something a little different as Jerry. And I put my jacket on, and I put on my beret, because he wore a beret like a
Mhm.
Frenchman.
Mhm.
And I grabbed this woman out of the seat. She looked at me like, why did you do that? And all of a sudden, I said, I took opera lessons. Opera has a romantic setting, and I want to be romantic to you.
Mhm.
And the audience has their mouth open. My three guys are like, what is he doing? Then all of a sudden, Be My Love comes on, and I'm trying to pick her up and put her on the chair. Well, with the little fight that they give you, because they don't know what you're doing, because they don't want to be embarrassed, you're
Mhm.
making them even more. And what do you hear? Laughing. And I
Yeah.
said, this is it for me. This is it. I have done a good 50 Be My Loves now. Maybe
Oh
more.
my God.
Maybe more. Do you
Uh-huh.
know that everyone gets better and better as I do it?
Oh, I can imagine. It's a great bit, and it's fucking hilarious to watch.
Because everybody,
It's
here's like you
great.
just said, here's the thing, like you just said about being scripted. Every woman is not the same.
No.
So
No,
I
of
just
course.
turned this. I don't. Half the time I'm not even singing because I got my face in her breast or I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was
I'm
gonna
in her
say
hair.
here.
My whole head's in, and my face is in her hair, all around
Yeah.
me. But They don't
Well,
care.
you know, Ange had his face, you know, in between Anita's, you know, bodacious ones.
Uh-huh.
and 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 and,
And
and,
I was falling off my seat laughing my ass off.
I
because
bet you got.
it's something that nobody expects. So there's nothing greater than
Funny.
giving something that they're not going to
Mhm.
expect. When you go see
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, you're expecting to hear My Way. When you
Mhm.
go see this, but when you come see me and do Be My Love, every
Yeah.
woman is going to be different
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
reaction is different.
Mhm. I want to see you sing Carmen Miranda. That's my favorite.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I want to go
Please.
see that. I
well,
do.
Amelia,
see,
have you ever seen Angelo do that bit?
I've seen it on only on the video.
I was going to go on YouTube. He's got
Yes,
about 5 or 6 of them
I
on there.
love them.
but
I've seen them
you know
all.
what, you know what, I could really say this because I really learned this from Jerry. Jerry said his film work he credited was for him and Dean and him solo was excellent. But he said there's nothing like a live show. It changes everything.
Oh God, yeah.
So when you see Mike Carmen
All right.
and don't see it face to face, you're missing out on the little things. See,
It's,
when I
you know,
just talked when I just talked about getting uh pushy with. Like when I come out and on my heels and I see a guy, I'm like I get the attitude like, what, you never seen a guy in heels? Come on, help me now. And I'll make the guy help me. And then I'll just out of nowhere, get your hand off my ass. Will you get your hand off my ass? You know, so nobody's expecting none of this because
Right.
the attitude comes in, the Jerry attitude. And
Mhm.
I always tell these Jerry impersonators, which are not many. I really only told one. You got to get the attitude. If you don't get the
Yeah.
Jerry attitude,
Yeah.
and where do you get
That
that? Go
that's a
and get.
great
You,
I was
you
going
got
to
it.
say that's a great segue, Ange. Right there is a
Go ahead.
a perfect spot to talk about this.
Go ahead.
Talking about other Jerry Lewis tribute acts.
All right.
Back in the day, when Dean and Jerry were performing,
Right.
there were a couple of guys named Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about.
Do you know their story?
I do very well, as a matter of fact. I'm
Okay.
going to tell my audience a little bit about it right
Go
now, and
ahead.
then I'm going to turn it over to you.
You got it.
Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo were, to talk about dead ringers, these guys were dead ringers
Yep.
for Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. And they were from New York, two New
Brooklyn.
York guys from Brooklyn, who had an amazing but short career, particularly Sammy Petrillo. Duke Mitchell ended up parlaying his career from a Dean Martin look-alike act to a film actor and director, and then became a producer and
Right.
actually made a little bit of money. Sammy Petrillo, on the other hand, as I understand it, received a cease and desist letter from Jerry Lewis Incorporated.
Yeah, but you know how that really happened.
No, I don't, but that's what
Okay.
I'm going to turn that over to you.
You got it. Jerry was very shocked with this guy. And shocking was that he was so close to doing him. So
Yeah.
what Jerry did, he became his manager.
Oh, hello there. I didn't know this one.
Yeah, he helped produce him and did a contract. Okay?
Really?
Only to get him to a certain point and then dropped him and ruined his career.
Wow.
I heard that, and I heard that there was a lawsuit between the two guys
Yes.
for breach of contract.
Yes.
But I never knew, like, what kind of contract would Sammy Petrillo and Jerry Lewis ever enter into?
Yeah. Well,
I
it was
didn't
that.
know he was a management contract.
Yeah, well, that's the only way the contract would have happened. He took him under his wing.
So, he, you know, like they say in the mob, you know, keep your friends close, but your enemies
Exactly.
close.
But what was smart about Jerry, he wasn't signature as his manager. He gave him someone to manage him under him. So when everything came down, Jerry was smart to know that you can't touch me because my name's not on the contract.
Yeah.
So the guy who managed them was a setup.
Yeah.
Jerry took care of him, and they got rid of him.
Yeah.
And I heard he had a terrible life after that. Like,
He did.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
Jerry ruined him.
He
So
died broke.
right, and that was the story I told on your last one about when I went to Vegas, and I was happy that I ended up in 1976 not doing him, because I might have been ruined as a kid. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh,
On
for
stage
sure.
in the Sahara Hotel, and I'm right on the stage. I'm on ringside seats, and I was ready, and then it didn't happen because of my Vegas story.
Yeah.
And only to find out years later, my wife and I seen him when he was old, and he told a story that he doesn't like anybody doing him. So I got protected from that,
Yeah.
and only because the reason why I say me and not anybody else is that because I've been doing him since I'm 9 years old. I'm 70 years old. So
Yeah.
at the time, let's say I was 60. You're talking a lifetime. You're talking 50 years of doing Jerry Lewis.
God, sure, easily.
So me as a kid growing up, if I did something like that,
Yeah.
and he turned around and was like, I can't have this.
I don't understand that, Ange, because everybody in show business knows. They know this. So, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, but
if you get to a certain level, you want people doing you.
No, he was so fixated. He was a very I don't know. He had a very dark side to him. Like this book that's coming out. When it comes out, I'm gonna turn you on to it. Maybe you could bring the guy on.
I would love to have you and the author.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll set that up. I'll set that up, and I'll definitely do it. He promised. Believe it or not, he called me. We met, and he wanted my whole Vegas story. He heard about my Vegas story. He was in shock. He goes, Angelo, that's a tremendous story. I said,
God, yeah.
And I said to him, I said, but right now, I don't know if you're going to put it in the book. I said, I'm not going to sign anything with you, and you didn't ask me, but I'm going to take a risk, tell you the story, but I hope you do something the right thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows my story, but you're writing to all tell the truth about Jerry. Now, give you one little story. He did this little boy. Now, you got to remember, when he met Dean, he was 19 years old.
Right.
Okay. When he met Dean, he was 10 years older. So he became which Jerry used to say, the handsome man and the monkey, which I used to hate when he used to say that.
I never understood why he called himself the monkey.
The monkey. All he had to say, the handsome man and the little boy, because that's what he was portraying. Okay. The reason what I found out was from this guy that's writing the book. He goes, Angelo, when I told him my story that I was the one with the disorder. I was hiding through comedy to hide my disorder. And he goes, Angelo, Jerry stole that from a vaudeville act, that little boy, and gave it to Dean. He didn't create it. I said, wait a minute.
Really?
I said, wait a minute. He goes, it's going to be in the book, Angelo. So even more. So I said to him, well, I hope that's another thing you could say in the book about me, that I was the real character of this little boy.
Yeah,
and
for real.
I used Jerry to cover up my disorder.
Yeah.
Instead of having a man playing a disorder and just make it entertainment. You have a real story to tell. He said,
sure.
Yeah. But he agreed to all this, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Wow.
Like I left it to him. I said, he goes, listen, whatever I could do, I do. I said, no, it's not what you could do. I sat in front of you. You heard my story. So now it's all up to you now. So
remarkable.
Either way.
I'll tell you what, if people haven't heard the Las Vegas story, it's on Angelo's first appearance on our show, and I encourage you to go onto our website at youtube.com/@what's-the-buzz-podcast and search it and look for Angelo. It's called Becoming Jerry.
Yeah.
The show is called Becoming Jerry, and it's Angelo Capone tells that story. We are at the 30-minute mark, Amelia. We will be back in
Yeah.
1 minute and 1 second right after this. Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. We are back. Let me tell everybody where they can find us if they want to. And of course, everybody wants to. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/What's the Buzz Radio. Join us, join our group. Amelia puts fresh merch there every day and fresh stories every day. And sometimes she even spells right. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for just $2.99 a month. We are almost 1,000 subscribers strong on YouTube. We'll tell you about our other subscriber number that's going to blow you through the roof. At $2.99 a month, folks, it's cheaper than a loaf of bread. Trust me. At youtube.com/What's the Buzz Podcast. And join us at What's the Buzz Podcast on TikTok. Yep, we've got a TikTok. And we have somewhere around 2,000 strong there. And somewhere around 9,000 likes on YouTube. So we're doing something good there.
Good.
And all of our links, them and more, you can find them on linktree.com/WWTF radio. And as we always tell you, if you've got show ideas, suggestions, you want to write to Amelia or myself, she had 3 marriage proposals the last time I sent
What?
them. Yeah, we did. How about them guys on the chat room that wanted to take you out? Wow. That was crazy. And you got propositioned during a show.
Wow.
I'm not even getting my lie. Tell me if I'm lying.
No, you're not
I'm
lying.
not lying.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
You should feel flattered.
Right? And join us on WWTF Radio 88.7. We are on the worldwide broadband radio system, and you are watching and listening to What's the Buzz,
Yeah.
America's Best Podcast. And on the record, I am the Mad Dog, Angelo Capone, and joined by Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. Tonight, our special guest, returning guest for his one-on-one sit-down with us. We're having a sit-down over here. Angelo Capone. He is America's premier Jerry Lewis tribute artist. And I'm going to show some stuff here.
Go ahead.
I'm going to let this is about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes worth of clip.
Okay.
Let's all watch this, and then after after it's done, we'll sit and we'll talk about it. Okay. But I want everybody to take a look at this. This is, again, the show is The Movie Magic of Jerry Lewis. Watch this. And that's just a sampling from
Very good.
1949 to 1956. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin together did no less than 14 films together. And that's just in under a 10-year period there, which is remarkable. From 1957 on his own to 2017 when Max Rose was released.
Right.
Jerry Lewis did another 54 movies, which is astounding. In between doing Vegas concert appearances and flying to France every couple of months because he was adored in France. And some of the clips, I'm not some of the clips, I'm sorry, some of the movie art we saw with the Delicate Delinquent, the Sad
Right.
Sack, Rockabye Baby, Geisha Boy, Don't Give Up the Ship, Little Abner, Visit to a Small Planet, The Ladies' Man, The Errand Boy, It's Only Money, The Nutty Professor, of course, A Mad, Mad World, Who's Minding the Store, The Patsy, The Disorderly Orderly, Three on the Couch, The Big Mouth, Hook, Line, and Sinker, Don't Raise the Bridge, Lower the River, Which Way to the Front, among others, King of Comedy. And then arguably the worst movie that Jerry ever did was called Hardly Working, which was a real stinker, both from a financial standpoint and an artistic. He just looked like he was going through the motions.
And do you know why?
No, I had no idea why.
He was too old. See, he was trying to mentally be who he was.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Ange. He knew he wasn't the little boy anymore.
Yeah.
He tried to be that little boy character in this older man now, which was only playing a character. He wasn't the character anymore.
You know what it seemed like to me when I was watching that, because I saw the film.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me almost like, and you'll understand this because you get it, you're inside his head. It seemed to me almost like he was trying to mimic himself.
Exactly. Very good, Ange. Very good. He was trying to copy the character that he learned.
Yeah. And
You
it was
see, that-
sad though, Ange. It was sad to watch that.
It believe it or not, Angelo, what that did for me, it made me even more go because I wasn't imitating myself.
Yeah.
I was imitating the very character that was myself.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad I was going to bring this up. You know what I battle every day? In June, I'm going to be 70 years old. And I say always to the good Lord, how long could I do this?
Yeah. As long as you want.
Well, that came to me one day in a revelation. I'm sitting watching myself as a kid, not doing Jerry, as a kid in the very character that Jerry pretended to be.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, that's me. I can't escape myself.
Yeah.
So here I'm 70 and I'm still doing it because it's me.
Yeah.
Jerry wasn't doing, Jerry was the opposite. Jerry was a brilliant genius.
Yeah.
So to him to try to follow what he created
Yeah.
at an later age was only going to destroy him. What was his saving grace? You know what was his saving grace? Martin Scorsese coming along
Yeah.
and go, I want you to be yourself.
The king of comedy.
Exactly.
The king
So
of
he
comedy.
became the brilliant character of himself.
Yeah, Jerry Langford.
The wisecracker, the egotistic, the guy was saying to everybody, I'm brilliant. I'm the king of the comic.
Yeah.
I'm the king. So he was becoming himself. He caught up in his age.
Yeah.
And he lost who he pretended to be.
Exactly.
Which only,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
and it only
That's
gave me
brilliant.
It gave me the insurance that
Right.
I'll do this until I'm ready to stop.
Here's the funny thing about that, and people don't understand when you're watching that movie and you see Jerry walking down the street and you hear guys, hey Jerry, that's real. That was not scripted.
Very good.
They
Yeah.
were construction workers and people
Right.
on the street going, hey Jerry. And if you'll notice, Ange, he was booking it down the street. He wasn't
Yeah.
walking. He was like
No,
moving.
he wanted out. He
He
wanted out.
wanted because he's not real comfortable around people.
Let me tell you that. Let me see if you can understand this. How smart Martin Scorsese was.
Oh God, I love Scorsese. He's brilliant.
Here's Robert De Niro, the most serious method actor in the world.
Yep.
Right? What
Mhm.
did Martin Scorsese make him in this person? He was a character. He was a Jerry Lewis, but
He
the
flipped
mean
the,
Jerry Lewis.
he flipped the script on him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Jerry became the serious dean.
And he
And was like-
and Robert became the comedian.
And what was the character? Like, I don't think people get what King of Comedy was all about.
Oh my
It was
God.
the
It
King
was
of Comedy
devastating.
it was Dean saying, I had enough of you.
Yeah.
So what was Jerry Lewis playing? I had enough of these comedians. You're not good.
He was playing Dean Martin.
And in the mentality of I had enough.
Yeah.
And that's what I seen. I said, I would love to voice my opinion on it because I couldn't see it no other way but that.
Right.
Because now Jerry was saying, I got to go do other things. I got to be who I am.
Yeah.
And you're interfering in my life with this character that you want to be this
Mhm.
comic.
He did something. I think at the end of his career, he did two things that I think redeemed him
Okay.
with the American public, particularly those who had already gotten smartened up to the fact that he wasn't this affable, lovable, funny guy, that he
Right.
was a real prick in
Right.
real life.
Right.
But he did a film called Max Rose, which we'll talk about in a minute. But he did another film called Arizona Dreams.
Yeah. Which didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, which was as far removed from comedy as you get.
Right.
But then in Max Rose, I think we saw the real Jerry Lewis in two films,
Right.
King of Comedy and Max Rose. But
Right.
in Max Rose, we saw an older, vulnerable. Now he's vulnerable because
Right.
he's in his 90s and he's older.
Right.
And he has to rely. And by the way, Jerry played Vegas and worked on stage and did pratfalls into his 80s.
Yeah.
And people don't get that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. He had
And
to stay true to what was people wanted to see.
Yeah.
You know,
what, Ange, though?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about that. Because again, you're in his head.
Yeah.
And this is great insight for me. And for people who love Jerry Lewis movies and I will tell you, I spoke to Jerry Lewis on the phone one time in my life. And it was during a muscular dystrophy telethon. And one of my coworkers died that night.
Wow.
And I had to go on and do a telethon.
Right.
Okay. And they got wind of it. And I got a phone call.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're let me tell you something. When they tell you that they know what's happening everywhere, they ain't kidding. They know what's happening everywhere,
Exactly.
especially with the MDA.
Yeah.
But I digress. He could not have been kinder on the phone. But then I see interviews where he's basically berating this young reporter. Just the guy's doing his job, asking questions.
Yeah.
And Jerry was in one of them moods. He was like, one word answers, yep, nope, yep,
Yep.
and just looking at the guy like, you're a piece of shit, get out of my face.
Right.
You actually saw the picture tonight in that slideshow of that interview where he just looked miserable. He had a red sweater on and a yellow shirt.
Yeah.
But because you're in his head, and because he's now at that age in his life where he's vulnerable, was that his? I know he's an actor, and yes, you take a certain amount of liberty, but knowing him the way you do, psychologically, mentally, was that his apology to the world? What was that movie to you?
No, I think it was showing for me. Now the movie was about that he thought. Correct me if I'm wrong. That he thought his wife was cheating on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived this anger
Mm.
only to find out she wasn't.
Right.
And he had to make peace with himself. Okay.
I got you. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
You said a great thing. Was that an apology? I don't think it was to the people. I think it was an apology to him because he gave up his whole family
Mm-hmm.
and he gave his life to his second wife, who, in my opinion, as much as that he tells everybody, was his second arm.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, I don't believe that.
I never
believed that.
I never bought that. I never.
Yeah.
I would. I still don't buy that idea.
No.
I think that was. Can I be honest with you? I
Yeah.
think it was a business decision. I think that marriage was a business decision.
I think, in my opinion, I think was no. I think he was the first. I think his life of being of an infatuation
Mhm.
had to stay in infatuation,
Yeah.
and he chose her. At he was
That's a great
20 years older. He had to
Yeah.
stay in that infatuation
Mhm.
because there's a lot of rumors that he cheated on a lot of women.
Oh, more did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I only think he did that, and that was the power trip. But he was never infatuated. When she came along, he was the older guy, the midlife crisis guy who needed infatuation that he never had. That's my
He
opinion.
had a young, but pretty young woman on his arm.
Right.
Of course.
But he makes it like she did everything for him.
Yeah.
Everything that was done for him was from Dean, Patty, his first wife, his kids being what they wanted him to be.
Yeah.
He let everybody go. Everybody. And he, I had a back and forth discussion with Anthony Lewis, his son.
Right.
And he found me on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook no more. He found me on Facebook, and he friended me and said, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
So I said, why do you get up every morning?
Yeah.
And he didn't answer me. So I said to him, I said, I'm doing this because you don't know nothing about me. You don't know why I do it.
Can I ask you though, Ange? It sounds like right away he took the attitude that his father would have taken.
Oh, he's just as bitter as his father. Just as bitter as his father. Because he thought not so much the money and the will, he never thought his father would leave him. Because he's watching a man every year do the MDA.
Yeah.
He's watching a man who's making people laugh every moment of the day.
Yeah.
He's watching a man who knows how to conduct business. He's watching a man who put 6, 7 kids together. He never thought he'd be this guy that would just get dropped. And Gary Lewis, who this guy who's writing the book is his manager, who's been his manager for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be, I don't know if he's going to have a partner's book, but he's going to talk about Gary and how he let his father go because he was the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he came to an understanding. What really gave Gary to walk away, Jerry had a daughter named Susan who was homeless.
Yes.
And he never claimed her as the daughter.
I know.
Gary went to get the blood test, the DNA, found out it was the daughter, and that was the day Gary said, "I don't want to have nothing to do with my father."
And I understand that, and I know Gary Lewis's story very well. The other thing that really concerned me is Jerry lost a son that people don't know about. He
On
lost,
drugs.
yeah, and he did not attend his son's funeral,
No.
and that is incomprehensible to me. To
Well,
think that you brought this child into the world,
right.
but you won't even have the decency to escort him out of the world.
You know what I think, Ange? I think Jerry had I think he tried to do everything, but it was never really in him to do.
Yeah,
It's like the character.
yeah,
When I found out that he stole the little boy and he made everybody believe he was this character,
yeah.
I think he did that with everything in life.
Hmm.
You got to remember, here's his partner.
That's
Dean Martin.
interesting. Can we? I'm going to stop you there. Can we discuss that?
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
you're not the first person who suggested that. I actually had this conversation with another tribute, not a Jerry Lewis tribute artist, but actually it was an Elvis tribute artist. I had this conversation with, and this particular Elvis tribute guy was a big Jerry Lewis fan,
Wow.
big Jerry Lewis fan. But he was honest enough to tell you that Jerry was a POS,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
real life.
Yeah.
Growing
I think.
on the screen, when the camera turned red, he was there.
Right.
You
Right.
know, he was ready to go.
Because he was he was a great pretender.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at. And thank you for validating that. He was the quintessential actor
Yeah.
because he played a part his whole life. Here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
In the long run, because we're coming down to the end of the show,
Okay.
in the long run, did that help him or hurt him?
Hurt him.
A, as a performer, B,
Okay.
as a person, C, as a societal icon.
All the above, because he couldn't he didn't know the difference of one from the other.
And you're right. And I believe that.
He didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
And you understand too, he grew up with a guy, Dean Martin, who had 8 kids.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who had dinner with his kids all the time. Here's the man, when the story is when he was coming home, Patty Lewis would say, "Your father's coming home." They all scattered. They were afraid of him.
They were scared to death of him. Yeah.
Because they didn't know who he was going to pretend that night to be.
Yeah.
See, they say, they don't use that word. They didn't know who he was going to be. Mine is, who is he going to be? The comic or the straight man?
Well, yeah. Who was going to show? Which Jerry was going to show
Gonna
up?
show
that
up.
night?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I believe, sadly to say, his movies impacted the Jerry Lewis fans. You know, this is what's sad. This is what's sad for me. When I was on Facebook, I joined the Jerry Lewis fan pages, and there was like 3, 4 of them. And I would do something, put up of it. They didn't like that I was doing that.
Oh, God forbid. Yeah. Yeah.
And I looked at it like, so who are you really engaged with? The character or the man Jerry? So,
brother, I got news for you. What you're experiencing, what you went through, is why I don't join. I joined an Elvis group. Everybody knows I'm a big Elvis fan. I joined an Elvis group. There are people, Angelo, who don't think the man shit. Okay.
Yeah.
There are people who think he didn't take a crap.
Exactly.
That he was a deity.
Right.
Okay. And that's where Jerry is. He falls into that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
And his fans, they can't separate the pretending what made them have joy. Listen, Jerry Lewis didn't give him, that man didn't give joy. He was a businessman.
Yes.
The
of
only
course.
joy you learned from him was his movies.
Yeah.
And half those people who were in the movies, they never seen him live on a stage like me. They wouldn't think of going to see him. They were happy with his movies because they were laughing, and they were enthralled of seeing someone who was different. He was different
Yeah.
from everybody else, but they weren't that person that ran to go see him, because if they seen who he was on stage, they'd be hesitant.
Yeah.
And why I
Absolutely.
say that, I threw that out to people. Did you ever see him live? Well, no. Well, how could you be a fan? No. A fan is everything that this man did. You know of what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan, but I'm
Mhm.
not a fan of Jerry Lewis the man. I'm a
Yeah.
fan of what he did to make me laugh and
Exactly.
made me feel that I'm okay to laugh at myself.
Absolutely. And that's the essence of why we go to the movies.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Now, here, I'll give you what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I think he became a pantomimer in his early age. Now, I did pantomime because I had a real disorder.
Yeah.
I pantomime because it was easy to lip sync, and even if I made a mistake, it didn't matter because it was funny. I think
Right.
Jerry pantomimed because he didn't know how to be. He became somebody else already.
Yeah.
He pantomimed whatever that record was. He pantomimed whoever was talking on that record. He became someone else because I don't really believe he knew who he really was his whole life. That's my
He
opinion.
made himself the butt of the joke because
Mhm.
he didn't know any better. I don't think he knew any better, to be
No,
honest.
I don't think so either. I don't think
I really believe that.
you don't leave the world. Listen, we all have our faults. We all have our scars. We all
Mhm.
have our uh, callings. But Jerry was, in my opinion, in the end, was a mess.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
He was a mess.
Absolutely. He sure was.
You know,
I don't think in his later 80s or until, because he passed it at age 91.
right.
In his middle to latter 80s, I saw a man struggling to find himself before he went on to meet
Exactly.
God.
And then when
I
I
mean
seen
that.
when
To
I
the
seen
point,
him,
Angelo, to the point where he actually sat. Now, Jerry was a Jew,
right,
but he actually sat down and did an interview with the Christian Broadcasting Network.
right,
And they talked to him about faith and God and
right,
all this. And he cried during that interview
right,
several times because they made him human. They made him feel his humanity. And the interviewer, God bless him, was absolutely on target. He never, did the goo goo gaga card, oh, I'm
Mhm.
here with Jerry Lewis.
right,
And he just kept it straight. And he was
right.
the interviewer, and that's what he did. And I think that humbled Jerry.
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion. When he was in his emotions, I think he was feeling that he was lost. I think
I believe that.
I think they hit a nerve in him. Like, I don't know what I really believe in. I don't
Yeah.
know who I really believe in. Because if he really did believe, what did Patty, his wife, made him?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was his. She was his helpmate. She was born to be a helpmate. A woman is a helpmate to the man. There
Right.
was no greater helpmate than her. He didn't know who she was.
Right.
He couldn't even understand who she was.
Nope.
So when this new one came and she was younger, he didn't see who she was. He was infatuated that he could be with someone that would give him this live infatuation again. That's my opinion.
And I think you are spot on with that.
And also, do you
I-
think that also toward the end, his last movies, that he said, "Okay, I made a commitment to these movies. I'm just going to go ahead and stick to it and finish these movies as well."
Well,
Say that again, Amelia. I want to make sure that the
Understood
people
that,
at
yeah.
home understand.
Yeah, like toward the end, you said that he really wasn't into making the movies, do you think that he thought to himself, okay, I already made a commitment to making the movies, I'm just going to go ahead and make them and be done with them?
Here's the thing. You see, you're saying he made a commitment. He had no choice. He had nothing else.
Exactly.
He had nothing else. He had to stay Jerry Lewis from 1946 when he met Dean. He had to stay that person. And how do you know that? Dean had one interview. He said, I will, he talked about, I was the guy that when Jerry said something, I just agreed, but I had to move on. One interview. Jerry, every interview had to get to the place where he had to say, Dean Martin this, Dean Martin that, Dean Martin this, because he knew he was nothing without him. And he proved that. He proved that in 1970 when he realized that boy is gone, he had to go on another road. So what he did was he just found himself being a celebrity. To me, he wasn't the superstar anymore. He was just the celebrity. Dean is the superstar. Frank was the superstar. But when I seen Dean walk on in 1976, I believe Dean and Frank had such a love for this lost guy that made that Dean knew if it wasn't for him, they both wouldn't have been where they would have been.
Exactly.
And I think
I don't think you could have had a Jerry Lewis without a Dean Martin.
Yes, listen, they were the lightning in the bottle. It can't happen if one of them was missing. The lightning would have never happened.
Nope.
But
you're right.
Dean proved to the world because of his humanity and his regular person that was in him. Jerry never knew who he was. That's the sad part. And that's what gives me the encouragement that I know I am that little boy. That character, people get mad. I had someone say to me, the guy who was writing the book, you wrote Angelo Capone is Jerry Lewis. You got to take that is away because you're not him. I said, no, I want to tell you something. Jerry Lewis saying Angelo Capone.
Right.
I say is because I just gave you a whole interview. That's my character. You just told me it wasn't. So who is Jerry Lewis?
Well, that was the first thing I did when you came on the show the first time. I put it right out there.
Yeah, he did.
Angelo Capone is Jerry Lewis.
And he says that's going to ruin my career. I want to say, well, what career do I have? I'm trying to still get there. So you're only talking in defense for him. I'm trying to talk the truth about him. And you're the one that's coming out with a truth book. So you better think about what you just said, because that was contradictory to me. Because
we got a couple people, Angelo, in the chat room tonight. Michael McGee says, I saw him in person on Theater Row in Dallas, Texas. It was either at the Majestic Theater or the Tower in Southeastern premiere of The Nutty Professor. He was talking about his motel film. I guess whatever that means.
Right.
Don't forget the Third Archives is restoring his only 3D film, the 3D Archives. I'm sorry. Don't forget that the 3D Archives is restoring his only 3D film, Money from Home, to be released by Kino Lorber soon, including Anagraph Visions. I don't know. Is that a film company, Michael? Michael McGee, is that a film company? What's the deal on this 3D film? I've never heard of it, and I thought I've heard them all.
Oh, I lost you.
So hopefully come back on.
Oh, Angelo. Oh, Angelo. We lost Angelo. Oh, where'd Angelo go?
Oh, I lost you, and then he disappeared.
I hope you come on back, Ange. Oh, I don't. Where my guest, ladies and gentlemen, just we lost them here
for a second. I don't know if he's having bad weather where he's at, but I know we're having real bad thunderstorms here. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Amelia. Why don't you do this while we're here?
Oh,
here he comes. Everybody. Here he is.
I'm back.
There he is. I was like, whoa, Angelo took a powder on us.
I lost. I don't know what happened.
I was just about to tell everybody.
Okay.
Why don't we bring it back up here? Here we go. Angelo Capone. Angelo Capone is one of the premier Jerry Lewis
Mhm.
tribute artists. If you ever get a chance to see him, and who is your partner doing Dean?
Robert Cabela.
I know Bob from Facebook.
Right.
Robert Cabela is an incredible song stylist in his own right, but
Right.
he does a spot on Dean Martin impression. You got to hear this kid. I think a kid, he's a guy. You want to hear him for sure. If they are in a town near you, particularly in the East Coast, New Jersey, New York,
Mhm.
Pennsylvania area, go see them. Spend the 50 or $60 or whatever it is. It's worth the money. I'll attest to it. I will absolutely attest to it. So what do you got coming up, Ange? Promote any engagements you got.
Right now, I will be sending you the theater one. I'll text it to you. But right now, we're doing all private gigs for
Mhm.
hire. We got 8 shows in the next month or two. Maybe
Okay.
tomorrow we might even have more. But they're all private, like Italian American clubs and this and that. So
Mhm.
right now, the public is not getting us, but we're working on that so we could get out there. And I'm working with a 9-piece band. We want to bring the authenticity of realness of how Dean and Jerry were on stage with a live band,
Yeah.
and that should really put us over the top because
Yeah.
nobody's doing what we're doing.
And is that the Starlight Orchestra you're working with?
Yes, the Starlight Orchestra. I
Mm.
was going to mention that, and they are they are so good. I mean, and what was great about them is, they were a big band
Yeah.
back, like the dance band of the 40s. And
Mhm.
I was sitting one day and I said, at the end of COVID, you know what? I'm going to get a band.
Mhm.
I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm going to get a band. I Googled band. They came up.
There you go.
Within 5 minutes, I had that band.
Oh.
And they said, all we do is dance, swing music.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to take this band and do a show. I said, well, you ain't going to get a better show than Dean and Jerry.
Oh, it's
Because
perfect.
Yes.
so what
It's
we
perfect.
did, guys I work with, we invested in all the arrangements. We made our own arrangements. So
Mhm.
you're going to hear live, good swing arrangements, not the dance type 40 music. You're going to hear Count Basie. You're going to hear the Duke Ellingtons. You're going to hear that Buddy Rich arrangement to the Dean songs. And what's great is, for me, when Jerry does the cigar, the Count Basie cigar, I'm doing it live now with the band.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Sure.
so we're bringing something to the stage that has never been. And
Right.
there is a Dean and Jerry out there. They were together 15 years. One guy is from Australia, the other guy's from Vegas. But
Mhm.
I
And I know both of them. I know who they are.
I don't believe in ever knocking anybody. Get on stage alone is an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
But I don't consider ourselves them. They are not what we do. The Jerry
Right.
is not how I perceive Jerry. So I applaud them.
Yeah.
But our
Well, let's
Jerry and
be honest
Dean,
about it too. The guy playing Jerry is substantially larger than Jerry. In
yeah,
fact, this guy is bigger than Dean.
yeah. I mean, like, and for me, I get he's your imitator,
He's an impersonator.
right?
Right.
And that's why I always say I'm not an impersonator. I channel in because
And the
I
guy
have
that's
something.
working with him is also an impersonator.
Exactly.
He's a professional impersonator.
Exactly. And where my Robert Cabela, he just sings. He knows
Yeah.
how to get Dean. And that's why I think right now I try to I sat down, I said, Rob, we haven't been together. We went our own separate ways, but I believe we're supposed to be together. Let me just give you 2 seconds.
Go, take your time. I'll give you all the time you want, brother. Go.
When my wife said to me, go out and do Jerry, I was like, well, how am I going to do this? She says, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I put in the variety paper looking for a Dean Martin. 2 days later, the phone rings. 2 days. It's Robert Cabela. Oh, listen, I'm a dean. I was working with a guy, a Jerry, who was a good Jerry, this and that. And I know who he is. He's a great guy. Me and him, we get along. We
Mhm.
feed each other. Again, he's an impersonator.
Yeah.
He's not the channeler. He says, "Look, it's going to be you and me." Now, I'm sitting there going, all right, I got to learn this now. I meet him. The mistake was he thought it'd be better we do a Frank, Sammy, and a Jerry.
Hmm.
That was the mistake for the for us to be together down the road, because now
Yeah.
we're missing in between Dean and Jerry's act for everybody's act, Sammy's act,
Yeah.
Sinatra's act,
Sure.
and then I'm playing with them. So what happened was we did a 2-year tour in Florida. We were successful,
Mhm.
and
Right.
I'm learning my character. Then we all went our own ways. We split up. And when we split up, COVID came in. I said,
Hmm.
now I'm going to learn to do. That's how I came up with the Kelp family and the
Mhm.
Be My Love, and more with the Carmen, with the dress and this and
Mhm.
that.
Sure.
I went to him. I said, listen, let's do it my way. He didn't want to do it my way because
Yeah.
we just split up for him to go do his way.
Yeah.
So I let it go. I
Well,
had
see,
to
but
find out that
COVID, COVID gave you the opportunity to work on your act.
beautiful. COVID was a blessing more than a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more of a blessing. So as time was going on, I knew I was better if we were together. He came to
Sure.
realize it would have been good if it was just me and him. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take a shot.
Well, you know,
My
when
sound,
you do that kind of show, Ange, I mean, let's be honest, you know, Dean Martin performed solo, Jerry performed solo. But you said it earlier in the show, the two of them together was lightning in a bottle.
that's it.
That was the magic. It was the
Right.
two of them
Mhm.
playing off each other like you
And-
and your other
Yeah.
partner used to,
Mhm.
the one I
Yes.
saw.
Right, right.
Okay.
And the thing was, we had to be separate to know that we were better together.
And
Yeah.
I believe that happens for a reason. You got to
Yeah.
understand how good you are together. And the only way to do that is to have time apart.
Right.
You
Yeah.
got to have time apart to
Exactly.
really understand who you are as a performer.
And
Think about it.
and-
Abbott and Costello,
right.
Martin and Lewis, the Marx Brothers, the Ritz Brothers, the Stooges.
You're right.
Okay. There
Yeah.
were 5 different variations of the Stooges, but no 3 guys were the Stooges like Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Curly. Exactly.
Mhm.
That
And
was
you-
the Stooges.
And what made that understanding was that that separate time
Mhm.
made me realize when we were on stage, we were more competition than we were performing to each other.
As it should be.
Right.
So when I said to him, "Don't you miss performing?" He goes, "Yeah, but do you know that I'm saying that we need to perform to each other?" When that bell went off, now that's what we do. We perform to each other.
But you
So-
know what? There's something to be said, though, about the competition angle. And I'm going to tell you why. And I believe in competition. It
Right.
makes both of you better.
Right.
The competition, if you're trying, if Robert is singing, everybody loves somebody,
Mhm.
okay, and you're, whatever, you're waiting to come on. Well, guess what? You could just do what Jerry would. You could come on anytime you want,
Right.
and throw a zinger in there and just see how Robert handles it.
Right.
That's competition.
Right.
How good can he handle what I throw at him?
Right.
That's competition. That makes us better.
And that's what we did. That's what we came to understand. Like before, we were stepping on each other
Mhm.
versus that we were in competition to make us better together.
Exactly.
That's the difference. We were stepping on each other because we were like trying to be solo artists. No, we're a team here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Us separating, realize, you know what? We were better together, and we were better without Sinatra and Sammy. It was supposed to be the beginning of just you and me. So now
Yeah.
I said to him, I said, the only way we're going to know this is to let's go do it.
Yeah.
Let's do
You
it the right way. Let's go
do a
do it the
small, do
right
a
way.
couple of shows. You do a small show.
Right,
Mhm.
You do 100 people.
right,
You know, and then you see what kind of feedback you get. Then you get a
Mhm.
bigger room. Then you get a nice theater.
right.
You know,
And
before you know it, you're playing, you know, MetLife Stadium.
and
Yeah.
here we are. A few months ago, we did our first show together back, and now we got 8 shows we booked and went in 2 months.
God bless you,
Wow.
brother.
So we're saying, okay, the door's opening. Now we're gonna
Yes.
take the next step. We're gonna get the band. He was like, Ange, whatever you want to do, I'm with you. See, I didn't hear that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, what are we gonna do?
You never want to work with somebody that's going to limit your creativity. I'll
Yeah,
tell
well,
you what,
you know,
brother.
I,
This
I,
is
I,
it's been amazing having you back on. I'm
thank
gonna
you.
give you a couple of minutes to
Yes.
plug everything you want to plug.
Well,
Then I gotta throw it over to Amelia.
you
Yes.
got it.
Right,
I'll send you the information when I get out there in the public. But just this video alone will get out there. Be plenty for me right
brother,
now.
we have pushing 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Amelia,
Mhm.
blow Angelo's mind. How many subscribers on the radio do we have?
11 million.
Beautiful.
11.4 mil.
Million.
So
Mhm.
anybody's listening right now, all I need is one person,
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
person to get us where we got to go, and we'll do the rest.
And
Well,
whenever
when we go off the air,
Mhm.
I'm going to give you some information, so don't go nowhere. I'm going to
Yeah.
and
take
when
care
you
of it.
start doing your public touring, you need to come back to Florida.
Oh, listen. We want to get to Florida in the worst way.
Yes.
Our
Yeah.
audience is there. Our audience is there.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Florida is prime for you, brother.
Oh, forget
Mhm.
about it.
Florida is
Forget about
prime for you.
Because I will be there.
Let me
Good.
just tell everybody, Angelo Capone is not on social media. If you want to reach him, it's very simple. Face-to-face productions at gmail.com or face-to-face611 at AOL.com.
And I do have a Facebook. I do have a YouTube, Angelo Face to Face Productions Entertainment. You'll see my stuff there
There you go. On YouTube. Perfect.
on YouTube.
And Amelia, what's coming up for us?
Well, tomorrow we are going to be doing the Wrestling with the Future show. We are going to be doing the Vince McMahon lawsuit.
The Vince McMahon lawsuit.
Mhm.
This guy, it shows you that a billionaire with too much money and too much time is a dangerous commodity.
Absolutely.
Dangerous commodity. What else we got coming up?
Monday the 11th, we're going to be talking about a murder mystery in Georgia.
Fascinating. Tell everybody what kind of like a short version.
Well, the lady that we're going to be talking about was actually thought of committing suicide. That's what is. It's not really on her death certificate, but she's a right-handed lady, but bought a left-handed gun, committed suicide. But that's
Yeah,
all we're
they're
gonna say.
saying that this woman committed suicide. They found the gun in the wrong hand, Ange.
But that's all we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that one. What
Yes.
else we got coming
And
up?
then you're gonna have a show with Dan Ely, who actually knew Paul McCartney.
Yep. My friend Dan Ely, who knows Paul McCartney, and we just lost one of the founding member of Paul McCartney and Wings, Denny Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan knew Denny very, very well till his passing this year. We will talk to Dan next week, along with internationally known musician Billy Dyer will be with me as well.
Nice.
So Dan and Billy will be here talking about Denny Lane and Paul McCartney.
Yes.
And of course, Denny Lane, by the way, if you don't remember, was the founding member of the Moody Blues.
Wow.
I remember that. That was the guy that put the Moody Blues together. What else we got, Neil?
And the 13th, we're going to be talking about the territory system of wrestling, actually, with Wrestling with the Future again.
You're going to have a guest on. Who you got on the
Princess Victoria.
And we've got, you ready for this? Angelo Capone. I got one for you. Your name is perfect for this one. Capone. It's great.
Go ahead.
I got a mob show coming up with the former John Gotti close friend and associate, member of the Gambino crime family, former member, I should say, of the Gambino crime family, Louis Big Lou Ferranti will be here talking about how the mob played into the JFK and Jimmy Hoffa murders. So, and there's a lot of people that say they know where Jimmy Hoffa went. I think I do too. I don't think he ever left that car, brother.
Nah.
No.
I don't think he ever left that car. That's gonna be a good show.
Yes.
Gonna be a good show. What else we got coming now? When is
Hey,
Ronnie Marmo coming
On the
back?
26th, we're going to be talking to Ronnie Marmo.
Actor, my friend Ronnie Marmo, actor, playwright, producer. He owns a theater in New York and one in LA. Ronnie can be seen. You can watch him in I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce. He fabulously played Lenny Bruce. And you've seen him with Joe Montana, his close friend Joe Montana, in Criminal Minds. Great actor. He will be back with us for a second time. And we got some other big surprises coming up that we're not just quite ready to spill the beans on yet, but they're big ones. They are big ones. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in the chat. I appreciate everybody who was with us tonight. For Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. For Angelo Capone.
Thank you
I'm
so much.
Jerry Lewis.
Yes.
I am the Mad Dog, Angelo DeCipio. I will see you tomorrow night, folks, on Wrestling with the Future. Take care. God bless everybody. Be
God
good.
bless everybody.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night.